Hey y'all, welcome to Knitting in Our Jeans.
Yes,
we're wearing our Zweigs.
I didn't even realize
because before we start, it's done. It's done. It has the Rhinebeck button or Rhinebeck tag on it. It's done. No waste yarn anywhere.
Oh,
I'm very proud of this. So if you're new or returning, thank you very much for coming to spend some time with us. This is Knitting in Our Jeans, and I'm Liz.
I'm Carolyn.
And on Instagram and Ravelry, you can find me as Toolizzforyou, Toolizzforyou.
And I'm cpredmor on Ravelry, and on Instagram I'm usually Instagramming as Knitting in Our Jeans -C, if I remember the dash.
And if you were following us the past about 10 days, or past 2 weeks,
yes.
Okay, then. You would see the adventures that Mom got into with Dad.
Yes.
Sailing.
So you see, yeah, a lot of people saw my sailing pictures, and I had a few people who are sailing people start following us too. They're going to be really disappointed until spring break.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. We can talk about that next week. No big deal.
Yeah, we have to make the reservations. Anyway, we had a really good time. I think you could tell.
Yes.
We which is why we've been absent for what, 2 weeks?
We missed 1 week.
Oh, time flies.
Time does fly.
And anyway, we flew down to Barbados. Where did we change planes? We flew
to Barbados, and then
direct to Barbados, and then got on a plane in Barbados to fly to St. Vincent, because there is only one plane a week direct from New York City down to St. Vincent, which was fine. The only problem is it was a 5-hour layover in the airport, and I really did refuse to get out of the airport and go wander around. I think many of you have heard the saga of my knee, and I really didn't want to exacerbate it. Plus, we couldn't turn in our luggage
and you didn't want
to the following flight until it was 3 hours before the flight. So we did have lunch. That was fine. It was great, as a matter of fact. And we got on a local, Liat was the local airline, and it was a woman pilot, which I thought was fascinating. But unfortunately, it was after dark, so we couldn't see as we were landing, and I think that was unfortunate. St. Vincent, excuse me, my nose is just... St. Vincent has a relatively new airport. I think they said it will be a year old in February. So the facilities are absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. We had a lovely taxi driver who took us to our hotel, which was the Blue Lagoon Hotel in, you guessed it, the Blue Lagoon. And so we stayed there the night before, and the funniest thing there was, I mean, we had a gorgeous room. We looked out over the bay. Of course, I didn't realize I was looking out into open ocean until the next morning, because remember, we landed in the dark. We had dinner on the patio at the restaurant. I still couldn't, I thought I was in a harbor. I thought it was one of those things where the land came around like this, and there's this little thing. No, in the morning I found out the land comes around like this, and it's open ocean out there. So anyway, things, the way your mind tricks your mind plays.
Yeah.
Anyway, we had a lovely room. The air conditioning was easy control.
Good.
The only problem was nothing would charge.
Oh, yes.
So
I did hear about this.
Yes. I was having a freak out because I had gotten a new travel watch, which for many people would be a regular watch, and I understand that. But my regular watch is a rather expensive watch that I got 19 years ago, or 18 and a half years ago.
Yeah.
And it works well. It lasts. It's a self-winding watch, so I don't have to worry about charging it or anything else. So that part about it is lovely. It's like wear it and go. But I have an unholy habit of losing watches as they go through security.
Yep.
Dropping them. I lost a watch in Dubai at the security gate. Instead of putting it in my purse, it must have dropped right to the floor. So I don't travel with my regular watch. I usually have a travel watch. So in getting ready for the trip, I said, I really need to put my travel watch on so I don't have to think about it. I went to get my travel watch, and it wasn't running. The travel watch was a watch that ran on solar. So as long as it had light, it would power its own battery and keep going. So always in the past, I would go and I would pick it up and it would be there chugging along. Well, it wasn't chugging along. So I got a new travel watch. Anyway, the travel watch.
And it seems like it is not just travel watch right now.
I know, I really like it. I think it's helping me keep on schedule with my calories. I've managed to lose 9% of what I want to lose.
Oh, that's
not bad in the week that we've been back. So that part, I think, is good.
Mm-hmm.
I can also look at it and see what's coming up on the calendar.
Yes.
Which is good. What is that red dot?
That red dot means you have a notification. Go down. Oh, so that means you hit your move goal by 300%. Knitting. Quick tip. It notices when you knit if you knit like Mom and I do.
Perfectly.
Yay!
Is that a fly in here?
No, that was the wind and the chair.
Oh. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
I also did a lot of moving in church. I walked up and back and up and back. So I have a very low activity goal.
Oh, you do?
Yes. Because I have a knee that's acting up. Anyway, the next morning we got up, had a lovely breakfast, and then went over to the sailboat charter place and started doing all that we had to do. We had to get a chartering license. We had to get a license for the national parks because part of where we were going in the Grenadines was part of their national park. It's kind of like Great Britain, whereas part of the national parks can be lived in, unlike our national parks where you may be grandfathered in if you've been living there before they became a national park. But here there were whole towns. Anyway, we got that. Then we went to the grocery store. One of the nicest grocery stores I've been to in trying to provision a boat. Really got almost everything we wanted except egg whites. Could not get egg whites. And yes, I know, we could buy eggs, but since I can't have the yolks, it feels like I'm wasting a good portion.
It feels very wasteful. I understand. Because I only get real eggs when Ben is in town because he'll eat
the rest of it.
Well, he'll add the yolks to his omelets,
right?
Because he'll have one full egg and then all of my yolks.
So anyway, I did not get egg whites, and I didn't get a dozen eggs to have the egg whites because I can't have the yolks. Anyway, but the rest of it, really nice cuts of meat, good chicken. I mean, it was really good. We should have provisioned a little heavier because some places we went, you had to drag your dinghy up onto the beach, which normally wouldn't be a problem, except our dinghy had broken dinghy handles.
Oh, no.
And it's very difficult to drag a boat up on the beach when your dinghy handles are broken, and you really have to heft this thing. So I wish we had gotten maybe 1 or 2 more regular meals. The boat had a full kitchen. That wasn't the problem. The problem was actually being able to provision. But anyway, we we should have probably bought more water in the beginning too. We ended up being able to buy water almost everywhere, but that was fine, and in big, gallon containers, so that was fine. We left the Blue Lagoon under sail and went to Bequia. Saturday night, got to Bequia, anchored, did quite fine. And then had dinner on the boat. I think we had hamburgers. Anyway, the next day was Sunday, and my husband, dear man that he is, doesn't understand that in many places in the world, Sunday is a very holy day. It's a day of rest, and not much goes on. So he says, we really ought to go in, take the dinghy in, go see Bequia. And I said, I don't think there's much going on. It's a Sunday. Oh, that doesn't matter. This isn't the South. Like the man knows the South. The man grew up on Long Island. I grew up in the South. I know what's going on in the South.
Grew up on Long Island, which is full of Jews.
Well, it's full of a lot of people. And he's used to being near the city that never sleeps, so he's used to everything going on. I don't think he ever met a blue law in his life. And I can remember blue laws in my city. And in fact, we once lived in a town that was a dry city.
Oh, gosh.
So he would have no clue. Anyway.
I just find it funny because he understands more when things are closed on Saturdays than when they're closed on Sundays, I've noticed.
Interesting.
Yes.
So we did dinghy into Beckwith and walked around, and we were able to buy some bananas. I thought it was really a delightful little place, and just one little, set of stores. And had it been a Monday, a lot more would have been open. But it was a Sunday, and I'm not a pizza person because I can't have cheese. I'm not complaining. It just is. So I said, well, why don't we get back in the dinghy and go over to where we wanted to go to dinner, which was a place called Jack's. Well, we got close to Jack's, and the music was on high.
Oh, no.
And we decided that wasn't going to be a good plan because we both go home with headaches. There was another place, the Beckwith Plantation Hotel, that had a restaurant, and we went there, and it was delightful. Absolutely. Good. In fact, the pictures that I had that said from Beckwith looking out into the water was from the Plantation Hotel. Lovely. And if I posted the one that showed a mural, the mural was on the wall at the Plantation Hotel. Anyway, we had a very good time. I had linguine in a margarita sauce with a few meatballs, and that was fun. Your father ordered, what did he order?
Something.
Like a tuna. He was on a kick to order tuna. I don't know why. And he kept saying, but it's not right. I said, well, what's not right about it? He goes, well, I wanted it rare and it's well done. And I said, well, maybe that's the way they cook it here. And I think it is. So anyway, he says, well, I said, why don't you just go with fish and chips? Which is, if I don't see something like linguine and margarita sauce, fish and chips is a great staple for me. Because I know I'll be fine. And I think that's part of it. I'm not going to enjoy eating out at a restaurant where I'm going to have to worry about how is my tummy going to be later. Yeah. So Beckwith Plantation Hotel, we had a really good time, and it had a dock. We've gotten really good at anchoring in sand and getting their dinghy up to the dock. We obviously have to work on getting the dinghy up the shore when you have to pull it, especially with broken dinghy handles. But we're getting better at it. I also have to say that I was somewhat timid of picking up some of these moorings because they don't have floaters like they do up here. And you really have to work at catching it and making sure you can put your lines through it. But we'll come to that. So we were Beckwith for 2 nights on anchor. We left Monday morning and went to Tobago Cay, could also be said Key, and that is a national park that is truly a national park. The only people that are selling things there are the people that arrange the beach cookouts. Well, we had quite an experience with the beach cookout because we were told to call Alfonso. He's the person that worked with our boat chartering people. So even though a man by the name of Romeo was scooting around in his dinghy while we were trying to anchor, trying to give us helpful hints, generally telling us what everybody else was telling us, which was fine. It's what we knew what to do. That's what we were doing, but apparently not fast enough for him, be that as it may. So we told Romeo, thank you very much for your help, but we want to kind of settle in. We'll see. We then called Alfonso and said we want to have a beach cookout with you, but he wouldn't take all the detailed information at that point. He says, I'll be by the boat later. And I said, we didn't even give him all the information. So about an hour and a half later, this boat shows up with a man by the name of George. And he says, do you want a beach cookout? And we said, we've called Alfonso. And he says, great. What time do you want to eat? So we figured George was with Alfonso. Oh, no. And, it was just, he was the guy Alfonso sent to make the arrangements. Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh no was right. Okay. George was with somebody else. Then Alfonso shows up. And by this time, your father has a cold. So it's the first night of the cold. He's cranky. He's very upset now that he apparently has contracted with 2 people for a beach cookout that we really don't care that much about. And George is $100 Eastern Caribbean more than Alfonso. So we finally get it settled. And of course, on the beach, George's boss comes over and says, "You're really costing me money. You know, we made this decision at 3. And I said, "Look, we tried to tell George that we had called Alfonso. Alfonso was the man we wanted to do business with. George didn't listen. This is what's going on." And I put on my teacher voice. So he backed off. But meanwhile, it made the whole dinner very uncomfortable. And quite frankly, I don't know that I'd ever do another beach cookout in my life because it's rather rustic. And it's not inexpensive. And I can tell you that it isn't inexpensive compared to the restaurants that are on the beach at Mayreau, or Mayreau, M-A-Y, Mayreau, where we did have dinner. It was lovely. It was civilized and less expensive. So I'm voting for real restaurants, not beach cookouts. And in a restaurant, I can find out how the things are being made in advance. So I can tell whether or not I can eat this or not. At the beach cookout, I couldn't tell how they were making anything. And so really didn't eat much of what I had ordered because I was very afraid that there was butter because it was very shiny and I couldn't tell. From mouthfeel, I couldn't tell. And there was really no one there to get the information from. So for those 2 reasons, I am probably never going to do a beach cookout again unless it's arranged by somebody that I know and they can check and make sure that there's no butter. But that was what we did the first night at Tobago Cay. The next day, we got organized. We took our dinghy out and found a sand beach, small atoll, inside of the coral reef. We pulled the dinghy up. I told your father that it was a very steep drop-off. He says, "No, I can't get too close to the beach." I said, "Well, get me closer." I can't. So I jumped out with the backpack on. It was up to here, up to the girls. Just covering the girls, as a matter of fact. So the backpack got wet. But I got up. I grabbed the rope and helped pull the dinghy on shore. Finally, he got out of the boat and started doing this too. And then 2 Frenchmen came up and helped us pull the dinghy.
Oh, yes, because always it's Frenchmen who stop to help you.
And they do. It's 2 Frenchmen that were helping us with the dinghy. God bless their hearts.
Father must have been so pleased.
I have a history with Frenchmen. You know, other people may have a problem have said to me that the French were not very nice to them. That has never been my story, ever, ever. And so we had 2 Frenchmen come and help us move the boat up the beach very nicely. Thank you very much. And I stayed on shore while he went swimming, snorkeling. Now, I had brought my flippers, but by this time, my knee was actually doing still pretty well. And I thought, you know, I don't want to stress it by going out and swimming, and I might get out to a point where I can't get back. And this would be a problem because he's having trouble landing dinghies and stuff. So anyway, he had bought a GoPro camera so that he could take pictures underwater of these fabulous animals. And he's telling me, "This is why you come to Tobago Cay." I said, "Okay. Then
Great.
we don't have to come back again." So he went swimming. He saw turtles. He saw big fish. So he came back. Now, I didn't understand why he went in the water without his GoPro, but he did. So then he had to come back for it.
Because he's daddy.
He had to come back for it and get all suited up with it.
Oh my God! And put it on his forehead, didn't he?
No. Actually, we had fashioned a necklace for him so that he wouldn't be able to drop it.
Good. I'm glad you all did that.
And he went back out. Turtles are gone. Turtles never to be seen again, but at least he saw them. He has pictures of sea urchins. They don't move.
They do move. They just move very slowly.
Well,
And only when they want to. They move with intention.
well, luckily they intended to stay where they were so that he could take a picture of them. And then there's one fish he managed to get a picture of.
Okay.
But I said, fine. You saw the turtles. That's all you needed. And he goes, well, maybe I wanted something else. So I said, well, go back in the water.
He's sick and grumpy.
Yeah, he's sick and grumpy. So he finally had his fill of swimming, and we were able to find our way out of the swimming area with our dinghy and got back to the boat. And as we're getting... What's this then? No, the night before, coming back from the beach picnic, that lovely beach picnic, we're getting on board the boat from the dinghy, and I said, hand me your shoes. Don't throw them on board. Hand me your shoes.
And what does he do? He throws them on board. I'm guessing. I don't actually know the story yet.
Tried to throw them on board. One of them hit the lifeline and fell into the water. So these are his favorite tevas.
Yeah.
And so he's going, where is it? Where is it? I said, I don't know where it is. It's in the water. So it actually went underneath the dinghy, popped out on the other side. I thought he was going to dive for it. And it's dark. So he doesn't dive for it. He lets loose the painters that are holding the boat, the dinghy to the boat, and goes out after it. And with the key to our boat. So I can't even get into the catamaran because he's got the key to the boat.
And he's gone off after his
he's gone
sandal.
out after the sandal in the dark down in Tobago Cay.
Oh, good. Does he have at least
He
a
has
flashlight?
He has a headlamp on.
So not even, okay.
So, and I said, it's going to be over at Mayreau.
Yeah.
We could wait till tomorrow or the next day and go get your flipper, your sneaker.
Yeah.
No, not flipper. It's a flip-flop.
Yeah,
yeah. So, anyway, and I'm thinking, well, how am I going to explain to everybody that he just kind of disappeared out into the ocean in Tobago Cay? Well, after about a half an hour, he comes back and says, I couldn't find it. I'm going, yeah, no kidding. Why don't you hand me the rest of the stuff? We will not be throwing things on board the boat anymore. He was a little ticked off on himself because he knew that I had said, just hand it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And he chose not to.
Mm-hmm.
So then we went to Mayreau, and I really love Mayreau. You come around the headland, and there's this very nice bay called Salt Whistle Bay, and it's quiet. We woke up to bird song.
Mm-hmm.
There's even a nice little hotel there on the beach. I would stay there. $140 a night. It's lovely. Now, they say it's a 3-star hotel, but it looked great to me. We ate at the restaurant. Then you can walk up the hill and into town. And then there are 2 more bays that you can go into to explore even more of Mayreau. So Mayreau was really nice. Mama Jean had a supermarket on the beach. Had everything I wanted.
Good.
She had cranberry, raspberry juice. She had water. She had bananas. She had great tomatoes. Anyway, we had a very good time. We went to see the Catholic Church. That's one of the oldest Catholic churches in the Caribbean or in the Grenadines. We had a lovely time walking up there. Met a man who was in the back of the church, which, then went down to the sea. We saw how their catchment basins were in olden times to catch the rainwater for your drinking water. There is a problem with getting enough water in the Caribbean islands because those catchment basins tend to get dirty, so they now have more municipal water, and those are concerned about wasting water, as those are concerned about everywhere wasting water. Anyway, the man in the back, he had his cell phone kind of on this contraption, and I'm just about ready to go over and go, what are you doing? Are you is this a satellite navigation type of thing, or what? No, it was his drone.
Yeah,
So,
I was about to say, that sounds like a drone, Mom.
It was a drone. So the drone came up and then landed in the courtyard of the church. Very interesting. He was French and was on the Club Med boat. I could also see taking a small cruise ship like that around because they arrange everything. So they have their beach picnics already arranged. Anyway, The only problem was the beach picnic. So in Mayreau, we had buoy buddies. So as you come in, there's a man in a little power boat who says, "Do you want a buoy?" And we say, "Yes." And he says, "Well, follow me." And he is actually down there in his dinghy, and he grabs the two or the one loop, and you pass him your two lines to set your bridle. And it's really easy. I love those buoy buddies. They made it very nice. And then you pay them some amount. I think it was $20 we paid him. It's worth twice the price. And we were there for 2 nights. From there, we went to Union to check out of the Grenadines. Union's a very nice town. It has an airport. Had several restaurants, some that were recommended by TripAdvisor. We ate at the Barracuda, and I think I posted that on Instagram too. In fact, I'm sure I did. And we really had a very good time. Another very nice store, nice bank, 24-hour ATM, not a problem. There's even a dinghy dock. Had we known, we probably would not have paid the boat taxi to go. We would have brought the dinghy in, but next time we'll know. We cleared out of the Grenadines there. We had to walk to the airport to do that. My knee is still doing relatively well. There was a buoy buddy there. That went well. But Richard didn't want to stay, even though that's where the Happy Island man is, where he's made his island out of conch shells.
Yeah.
I wanted to stay. There's also a place, I want to call it Scooters, but I don't think the man's name is Scooters. That's a restaurant on the other side of the island, and he runs jitneys back and forth. We could have gone there for dinner. No, he wanted to go to Petite St. Vincent and just anchor off the island. The whole island is owned by a spa. And it was just blowing like stink.
At Petite St. Vincent?
At Petite St. Vincent. So I really didn't want to get in dinghy, having already lost his shoe.
You didn't want to lose him.
I didn't want to lose me, him, or somebody else. So we didn't go ashore that night. No, there was nobody else. That night for dinner. Although we could have, and I might do it. I could see doing it in the future. Spent the night there, went from there down to a place called Carriacou, which is the first island in Grenada's country. And that's where you enter Grenada in Carriacou. And we anchored there. We anchored at Petite St. Vincent. That went well. We were putting down a ton of chain. It was really funny. We just learned to put down a ton of chain. We held like a rock. It was wonderful. Had a small problem getting the engine started. Apparently our engines wanted a certain sequence in the pushing of the buttons. And the guys at the Blue Lagoon didn't know anything about this sequence of pushing the buttons. So we kept calling our charter company going, could you give us another clue? Anyway, we got to Carriacou. We anchored. Richard went in with all the documentation because only the captain's supposed to leave the boat to go and register. He did, came back. I've got all kinds of stamps from this trip.
Good.
Yeah. And then we ate at the Slipway restaurant. One, it had a dock. That's a big plus. And two, when I looked it up, it also had some very good reviews. It had the best music. I think a woman owns that place. It had the best music. It had the best food. It had the best presentation. It was lovely. Oh, I thought it was great. So we spent the night there in Carriacou, but we only spent one night. Then we sailed down to Grenada. So we had a 5-hour sail down to Grenada. We passed over an inactive volcano, a semi-retired volcano. It acts up periodically. And it's acted up between now and 2000. Maybe 2005, something called Kick 'em Jenny. And you're supposed to stay a mile away from the center point. Of course, Richard was following another sailboat who apparently didn't have the exclusion zone on its chart. So, yes, we were in the exclusion zone.
Did you get yelled at?
No, we didn't get
Good.
yelled at. Your father said, uh-oh, I've got this red warning signal. I wonder what that means. He goes, oh, we're kind of going through the exclusion zone. I went, let's get out of here. Got to Grenada. There's a place right outside of Georgetown where there is supposed to be a collection of underwater statues that is like a private museum of underwater statues.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it's at a little bay called Dragon's Den.
Mm-hmm.
There's all of 3 buoys there. They were all taken. So we ran around the corner, and we were able to pick up a buoy there by ourselves. But the dinghy ride would have been longer, and I just wasn't feeling adventurous. And by this time, my knee was acting up. I found that I really still have, well, first of all, my knee has not fully recuperated as yet because I keep doing things. And secondly, at the front of a catamaran is netting. And I had already run and crawled across this netting a couple times. And in doing so, to get from one pontoon to the other, and had twisted my knee a total of 3 times. So my knee is screaming at me. So I didn't want to go in the water. Common theme here. I would have gone in the water in Mayreau had we stayed another night because it was nice and calm and warm, and I was just about ready to go in, and he said, I think we ought to go. Okay. So I didn't want to leave the boat. Although there was a restaurant at Dragon's Den that supposedly was very good. So I said, well, how about I'll call and see if the restaurant is open because it's a Sunday night. And if it's open, I will get in the dinghy. We can dinghy over and we'll have dinner there.
They're not open.
They're not open.
Okay.
There was no response on the telephone. So we had dinner on the boat. Richard got in the dinghy, tried to go and see if there was anything underwater. He couldn't see anything. It may be that there was too much haze in the water or there was too much mud and sand kicked up into the water. He really couldn't see anything. And the next day, we went into Georgetown, got to the gas docks, gassed up, and then our charter helper came over and moved the boat in onto the docks at the charter company, and we got into the taxi and went to the Georgetown airport. Went through customs, went through all of that, and it was relatively easy. Got on American Airlines, flew out of there. We then went to Miami, where we had to clear customs. You clear customs at the first place you touch down in your home country, at least in the United States. So we went through
Unless you go through Dublin.
Oh, you can do this in Dublin?
I went through customs in Dublin when I came back from Barcelona.
Very nice. So anyway, what that meant, you could get your knitting needles out again.
Well, it was Dublin, so.
Well, and it was Barcelona.
It was Barcelona.
The Caribbean does not like knitting needles, so
yeah.
I had put my knitting needles in my bags, and I did not get them out in Miami, even though it was a 3-hour flight, because we were supposed to land at 12:30 in the morning on Tuesday, so we were just crossing over the date line, and I had to get up at 5 o'clock that morning in order to go teach for the first day. And I had everything set up. I had my syllabi, photocopy, and all that. So I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to sleep on the plane from Miami to New York. And what I do is I have books on tape, and I have my earplug, or my earphones, and we had seats that reclined medium. We had gotten some with extra legroom because of my leg. And so I was able to lean back. I put my books on tape in, and when my head goes back, I'm asleep in 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Gone. And I slept until we started to descend into Kennedy.
Nice.
It was magical. So I had at least 2.5 hours of sleep coming up. Got into bed once we got home. We landed about 1 o'clock. We were a little late. got into bed here at 2:45, slept until 5. So, I had 5 hours of sleep, which is
something like it.
kind of my usual.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it went really quite well.
Yeah.
I did some knitting while I was gone.
Yes, you did.
Shall I show, or do you
Sure.
want to talk? Okay, so, and what I'm doing...
What I want to do is go home and go to bed, but that's all.
Well, that's
is...
up to you, because you kept saying, wait.
Yeah, well...
So, on my Instagram, I kept saying I want to work on my sweater so I can at least wear it as a vest when I get off the plane in Kennedy, because it's going to be cold. So I had the vest, and now I have put in one sleeve here, and I'm working on attaching the second sleeve. So
she finished the sleeves tonight.
I did, and I plan to wear this tomorrow, going to my eye doctor appointment at 8:15 in the morning. Now, for those of you who are not in the New York City area, it's supposed to be 9 degrees.
Well, currently it is 10:56, and it is 14 degrees outside.
Great. So...
and blowing like stink.
It really is. So I'm not going to have the collar on, but I will have my sleeves on, and I'll be able to wear it with a turtleneck underneath, just like this. And this is incredibly warm.
It's alpaca. I'm not
surprised. Now, I think I have lost a skein of yarn. I'm not sure, because I really don't remember thinking that I was losing a skein of yarn. But I may have lost a skein of yarn, and I don't have enough for the collar. So instead, what we are doing is we are combining 2 skeins of yarn, and so holding them double.
So it might be a little thicker than the gauge of the regular sweater, but
I
the color
think
will match
the
better.
color will be very nice. So it'll be a darker collar. And what I need to decide... help. So basically, it's a 2x2 rib that you do for 6 inches, and then you sew it, and it's sewn together for 1.5 inches, and then it's open, so it kind of flaps open. And I'm hoping to have that done by Tuesday. So we'll see, because now that it's cast on and I'm doing it, it should relatively roll. And I have a few things that I have to grade, but not very much. So not bad. I think I'm going to take a lot of tomorrow and make sure that the Moodle is right for all 3 classes.
That's a good idea.
Make sure hopefully I can check and make sure it's right for next weekend too. Because Vogue Knitting Live is in New York City this coming weekend.
Yep.
And
we're going to be there. So
that's pretty much all the knitting I did. I did not start the socks, but I was glad I had the sock yarn, because in a lot of this sweater, I needed some waist yarn. They are, I think what she calls them, fully fashioned shoulders. And so the shoulder seam is back of your shoulder.
Right, like a commercial sweater.
Right. So you need to mark with waist yarn where that mark is, so that when you put your sleeves in, it goes in at the center of the arm's eye, not where the seam in the back is. I do like the way it fits. I'm going to have to try to figure out how you move this to other sweaters.
Well, you're taking Fulling Fashioning with Catherine Love next weekend.
Yes.
So
well, I don't know. It might or might not. We'll see. But I was glad I had the needles too, because it's always nice to have another set of needles. And I used it. I can't remember what I used it for, but I know I used the other needles as holders for something, and trying to get the sweater done as much as it is. I think I would have liked to have made the sweater a little longer, so that it was more of a tunic than just a long sweater. But since I ran out of yarn anyway, obviously that wasn't a choice.
Yeah.
I'm really pretty pleased. And next week or whatever is, I'm hoping to wear it on Saturday. Is it?
That's when Christy will be.
Yes. So then, hopefully we'll have pictures and we can talk about it then, because we're going to be doing something Thursday night.
Yes.
We're going to be doing something Friday night.
Yes.
something Saturday night.
Yes.
Didn't Indie Untangled invite us someplace?
Friday.
And then we're coming home on Sunday. So I don't know that we will record on Sunday, but
we'll probably record while we're there like we have the last 2 years. Let's be real.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's all my story. What's your story, darling?
So I finished my Zweig. There's no waste yarn. I've worn it to work once already. My only complaint currently is that my bottom ribbing keeps flipping up.
Mine does too.
Oh, okay. So it's just a function, I think, of the pattern. Because you end the pattern and then you start the rib. Like, it's like right there.
Yeah, it's too short.
I think you need another 1/2 inch of ribbing. But I'm not going back. Not doing it. So I also finished my socks. My house socks.
Oh, wow.
I have worn these as well. They're wonderful.
I wore my Christmas socks.
Oh, very nice.
Every night.
Oh, can we admire the fact that the stripes match?
That's fantastic.
I did so good.
I love
the fact that I have like 10 grams left of the yarn because I did that, because I did the contrast cuff and heel, is how I achieved that. And then,
but wait, there's more.
Mm-hmm. I knit a DK weight or so skew sock.
Huh.
And I figured out...
That looks a little odd.
It is. It's the skew sock. So it is odd.
Does it fit?
Yeah. Oh, does it fit?
Even though it's slightly
That's
curved?
the point. It's made to do that.
I know it's made to do that. I just didn't know whether it was a good thing.
It fits.
Oh,
beautifully. Wow. I had to do some math to get the heel just right.
Why?
Because I was essentially just making the fingering weight pattern in DK with, appropriately smaller needles.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried it on, and I had to lose about 1.5 inches of knitted fabric. So I figured it out, and now I will repeat that for the second sock. But I really enjoyed knitting this, actually.
Okay.
So between this and vanilla, the vanilla is the new black reverse, toe up,
You're really moving.
I have some nice DK weight socks that I'm getting moving on. And so for the second one, I am almost at the foot section. I hope to have those done this week because they're super warm. I wanted to have them done for today, but that just didn't happen.
You're on location now.
I am on location now. And it's cold.
The pictures she sent us while we were away, she had 2 layers plus her outside coat, and
I had a scarf on. I had my Neon Beast over my jacket because I wanted to be able to take it off in the subway, also so that I could cover my face. I had my hat and my and my headphones that I also double as, earmuffs. I didn't put the mitts on under the glove, under my mittens, but I've been wearing the Pinate mittens that are out of sheepy wool, not super wash. So they're nice. You don't realize how nice mittens are because they keep your fingers together so there's more warmth until you wear them when it's really cold and you're like, yeah.
All right. Well, that's why I like my thrummed mittens.
Well, yeah. So, note, no, I did not finish Mom's mitts because I'm still slightly angry at them. They will get done. But I saw Christy Glass's post from this past week of a red dress.
Yes.
With gorgeous architectural shoulders and collar, and
she fell in love.
I fell in love.
It's a good thing I came home when I did.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was going to come to the house and get the pattern myself. Oh. Like, if you all hadn't been home, that's what would have happened. So, it's a pattern out of Vogue Knitting, Winter 17/18, and it is the fitted dress by Brandy Harper. So, when we first saw this a year ago, yeah, a year ago, I was like, oh, I really like
ago.
it. 17 into 18. We are currently in 18 into 19.
Sorry.
I really liked it, but it's in white. I couldn't really picture it in any other colors because sometimes you just can't when things are portrayed in white. I don't know. I just find that very hard to translate into other colors in my head. But it's gorgeous. It's got this gorgeous detail here and that collar and it's just a beautiful dress. So Christy made one in red.
Stunning.
Stunning.
Absolutely stunning.
So what did I do?
Purple.
I remembered, or I realized I had purple and dark gray that would work for this. But I had more yardage of the purple. And I also know that Mom has some yardage of this purple behind us. That if I ask really nicely, she might give to me.
If I get some mitts.
Well, let's see if my yardage gets me to an actual top first. Because I'd like to be able to wear this. So I can't actually put it on because my needles are too, the cord is too short to put it on. But I just finished the detail at the sleeve separation. And I have separated for the sleeves. And I am going to truck along now for the next bunch of rows to do the body. I'm not going to do the skirt as of right now because I definitely don't have the yardage for that. I currently only have another 100 yards left. I had a total of 500 yards, I believe. But this sweater or this dress takes 1,000 yards of bulky weight. And what eats it up are these bulky details.
They're beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
It looks like cables, but what it is crochet.
It's crochet, which terrified me until I read it, read the pattern, and I did it. I did a lot of it, actually, a lot of the bigger details I did with my fingers, not with a hook, because that's what I had.
Well, the hook they asked for is huge, a size S.
Well, we're not giving away too much of the secret sauce of the pattern.
No, but you can tell what the materials are.
Yeah, so it calls for a size S. So if you're planning on making one, go out and get that. Because that will make
or have fingers.
Some of it. Well, it'll make some of it easier. Because it would have made the part I did right before we came up, the part that took forever, it would have been easier. Because I used a size 8, K, I think, for that part. Which is large, but not large enough. So I'm really loving it. I'm knitting it out of Blue Sky Alpaca.
Nice.
They're 50% merino, 50% alpaca blend, and it's gorgeous. I'm hoping to wear it on my birthday on Saturday because Brandy will actually be at Vogue teaching. And I think that's when Christy's wearing her dress.
Oh, wow.
But I wanted to wear it for my birthday anyways because it's a deep purple, gorgeous sweater. So I'm just trucking along. So I cast this on Wednesday? I think Wednesday.
I don't know.
But it was Wednesday because I was waiting for you to get home before I texted you being like, hey, do we have that magazine?
And I had to take pictures.
Well, because
of the directions and then text it to her.
Because my mother loves me. My mother loves me dearly.
I wouldn't do that for anybody because you should buy the patterns. But considering she's my daughter.
And they're gonna become mine anyways when you move.
We'll see. You said Dad says we get an apartment or a house of some kind.
Oh, okay.
Then my library can still be with us.
Yeah. So, it's not like I don't support the magazine. But it's also hard to get magazines that are that much older in a extremely timely fashion. Because I obviously only have 10 days to knit this. Yay! It's going to be great. Less than 10 days, actually. Because it would have been
If you have the app, you can get them digitally.
Oh. I did not realize that.
Yes. I think they're $4 or something.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
But you can't print it.
Yeah, but
That's...
I was doing it off my phone anyways.
Right. So anyway, if you wonder what I'm doing, we're going to be taking a class at Vogue called Knitting with Linen.
From Norwegian.
Yes.
Norwegian.
And I'm trying
We'll find out how to pronounce her name.
I'm winding my yarn.
Mm.
I have tried in the past to wind yarn on...
Wind linen.
Well, it's yarn.
Right, but...
It's not wool, it's yarn. Linen yarn on... What is this?
A
winder.
Ball winder. And
it tends to... What happened was I'd be winding, it did real well, and all of a sudden it would shoot off the ball winder and go rolling across the floor and get incredibly tangled. And Elizabeth was checking on the homework we needed to do, and it says pre-wind your yarn.
Suggestion, by hand.
Yes. And I can tell you that makes a whole lot of sense to me. So that's what I'm doing. I'm winding it by hand. This is linen tape.
From Quince & Co. The Kestrel. The
Kestrel, yes. And then this is Espace Tricot that she got when she was up in Montreal.
It's the sport weight. It, I think, is a dupe for Sparrow. I think. Hold on. Let me check. It is a dupe for, yes, Sparrow, which is an 100% linen, like fingering sport weight.
Mm-hmm.
Heavy fingering sport weight, kind of. So, yeah.
And you said I really didn't have any other homework I had to do.
No.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a swatch that I have to do, but
okay.
I can also do that.
So I am going to be hand winding this, hopefully not tangling it, and getting this ready. And I've got a bag of stuff to take. I just have to add my interchangeables to it. I decided, for those of you who are in the Harry Potter Knitting and Crocheting Club, I decided not to submit for an owl, a newt, or broom this term, because I really do want to get to work on some of these whips that I've got going. So after I finish this sweater, then I will probably bring the red burgundy sweater that I'm making for my friend, so I can finish that. I haven't worked on it in so long that I'm not really sure where in the pattern I am, but we'll figure it out and get that done, and then I can start on some of the other whips that are at our feet over here and get those done. So I'm going to be doing a few of the projects that they want, such as the, I think, house mistress, headmistress, and Quidditch. But I elected not to do any of the more detailed projects, just because I really do want to get a move on these bags that are under our feet, so I don't feel so guilty. I mean, these are things I want to make, so why not just buckle down and make them, and then I can start doing some of the new stuff that I want to do, which is also around here. And Lord knows you all have seen. The other thing is, I'm very excited. I had ordered some Mayak back at Indie Untangled in October. And instead of buying her out of house and home at the Indie Untangled show, I said, well, I'll order it. Unfortunately, it never arrived. And I got back in touch with them. Well, you know, my dad died in October after Indie Untangled, after Rhinebeck. And so it took me a little while to kind of come back to myself and say, all right, now, what was it? There was something. So anyway, I got in touch with them in November. They said, oh, you're right. It didn't go out. We will send it to you. And she says, but it could be December. So I kept waiting and waiting and waiting till it got to be December. And then since I had it, it was going to be sent to the office. I said, well, let me get back to school. Well, it wasn't there. Still wasn't there. So I emailed my yak And they said, oh, I'm so sorry. The colors that you wanted, we just got the shipment in. And I said, well, hold it for Vogue Knitting. I'll pick it up at Vogue Knitting. So I do have yarn that I have already paid for that will be waiting for me at Vogue Knitting.
That's very exciting.
It is very exciting. I think that'll be nice too. And I got a sweater's quantity so that, you know, if I want to make a new sweater, a sweater out of new yarn, I can. But it'll be nice to have it in-house. Mm-hmm. What else?
Well, while we were away,
we
got a new random fandom.
Do they come every month?
They do come every month. Oh. So this is Never Give Up, Never Surrender. It's from Galaxy Quest on Dingo Confetti. It's quite pretty.
It's very pretty. I think she's got some amazing color choices.
Yep. So that's that. I'm drinking tea.
My tea's over there, so I'm not going to stand up and get it.
It's cold now, but it's cold, so I've been drinking lots of tea.
My hot pot works really well.
Your Instapot or the
hot water pot, and the Instapot I just love.
I love our new hot water maker. I forgot I made tea a few days ago, or water for tea, and it keeps it warm.
Keeps it very warm.
For 30 minutes after you first, it first gets to temperature. It's amazing because I forgot about it, and then I heard it revamping to get back up to temperature, and I was like, oh, I was gonna make tea. Oh, it was glorious.
Hot water.
It was glorious.
And my Instapot, I made egg white egg cups like they have at Starbucks, and I'm probably going to do, I'm not going to do it just for Wednesday, but I think I will be doing this for Tuesdays and Wednesdays until the end of the semester, because then I've got breakfast for Tuesday, I've got breakfast for Wednesday. The egg cooking utensil makes enough for 2 days. So I don't want to keep it, I don't want to do it Wednesday and keep it for Friday. I know it would probably be fine, but I'd rather do it 2 days in a row. So that covers breakfast then for Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And I'm very excited about that. It worked really well. They puff up really nicely. Really happy with the whole thing. I love my Instant Pot. So that's all the news I have. Do you have any other news? What's that other thing you're working on over there?
This is the test knit that I'm working on for Yelena Dasher. Yeah. It kind of fell by the wayside a little bit because I decided that I'm going to wear this next week. Or on Saturday. So, yeah. And I've been carrying the socks in my bag. Just because they're a little bit easier to take out and work on the subway platform.
That makes sense.
Because I'm still getting used to the new commute, honestly. Because it's the E instead of the F. So figuring out the E, the timing of the E, and things like that. But yeah, right now I'm just trying to actually.
Does the MTA publish a schedule?
But that would imply that the subway runs on the schedule that's published.
Well, yeah.
And it's gonna be below 10 degrees tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I said, I have an eye doctor's appointment, so I've got to get out there and try to make sure the car starts.
Yeah. So when I leave the house at 7, it will be 10 degrees. So yeah, that
it's cold.
Yeah. It hits 11 degrees at 2 a.m. and doesn't really rise in the next 8 hours from there, from what I can see.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Yeah, so I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out what actually what I'm trying to figure out right now is if I can get more of this purple yarn anywhere. Because
You're running out?
I am fast approaching running out.
Well, how much do I have?
You have, I think, 4 skeins.
And how much is that?
That's a good amount. It's enough that I need, I think. But I don't think even this has the color that we have. Because you even have the same dye lot I have.
Well, then why don't you get that?
Okay. Because I found it on Webs, but there's only two in stock.
And what is the yardage for each one?
It is 45 yards.
Oh my.
Yeah. And I had like 10.
All right, so take some of mine.
All right.
You can get me something while we're there.
Well, yeah. It's always how it goes anyways.
That's right.
But yeah, so I'm just trying to...
And for those of you, if any of you are going to be at Vogue Knitting Live, please come up and say hi. And just explain that you watch us.
Yeah.
We're going to be staying at the Marriott Marquis.
So we'll probably be around. We usually get dinner actually at the Marriott. I know it's not the most inexpensive option, but honestly, it's the easiest after a day of classes, and before going to whatever we're doing that evening, because Mom typically has
mobile,
and Mom typically has to eat before
8 o'clock.
We go to an event. Because usually if we're going to eat at the event, we're not sure if there's going to be food we can eat or if they'll serve it in time for Mom to eat it with enough time before she goes to bed that night.
Right. If you're wondering what goes on, I end up with screaming migraine headaches if I don't eat before 8 o'clock. It's very weird. The human body is a very strange machine, and this one's mine.
Yeah.
So, you kind of go with the flow.
Yeah. So.
That be my flow.
That be my flow.
That's right.
That be my flow. It's now 11:22, and
You got to go to work.
I do. Have to go to work.
All right, guys. I'm going to post this, and then probably over the weekend we'll put our notes.
Yeah. If you have any questions, reach out to us on Instagram, or reach out to me. If I said anything and you're curious about it, reach out to me on Instagram. I check that pretty regularly. I need to get going. And also, you can reach out to me on Ravelry via message if you want. Or you can make a post in the thread and ask your question there.
Absolutely.
Talk to you later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.